You are listening to the Prosperous Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosperous Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. Hi, Greg McCollum here with another edition of Prosperous Law Podcast. Thanks for listening. Today's topic is customer experience. And if you own a law firm, it's client experience, but your clients are customers. And what is the customer experience that you provide to your clients? And I think as a lawyer, certainly for me, for probably decades, it never occurred to me to even think about what was my client's customer experience like. And on this podcast, I think I've talked about, how is your office set up? Is it comfortable? Does it reflect your brand? Is it something that makes people relax and have trust? Or is it inconvenient? Are the surroundings uncomfortable? All right, because they're going through something that's not a good experience. Somebody that, like in my case, somebody's been arrested, somebody's charged with a crime, their life is turned upside down, and that really applies to probably all lawyers. There's some lawyers that are doing planning and business creation, and so they're out in front of the client's problem, trying to keep something bad from happening. But I would say a majority of lawyers, whether you do family law or personal injury law or criminal defense or civil defense where someone's being sued, it's not good when somebody's going to see a lawyer. Nothing really great happened in their life that prompted them to call you in the first place. So they're in a bad space. They're in a bad emotional space. They're in a bad head space. Sometimes they're in a bad economic space. And so it's a problem. It's a huge, massive problem. So when they're seeking help, so how much worse does it make it if your customer experience exacerbates that? How much worse is it? Do you think about certain things you don't want to do? You don't want to go meet with your accountant. Most of the time, you don't want to go visit with your doctor. It's not pleasant. It's not something you even want to do. So if that physical experience, if the emotional experience, even the visual experience is bad too, that just makes it that much worse. And the customer experience is something that I never even hardly came close to grasping it. I had a blind spot about it because I experienced things every day when I would go, get the tires changed on my car or get my car repaired or go to the doctor or go to a grocery store or go anywhere. I was reacting to the experience. And so it was always there. You think about when someone goes to a nice restaurant or goes and stays in a nice hotel or drives a nice car or goes to a nice resort or goes to, say, Disney World. This is the experience. That's what you like about it. And everyone's aware of it to some degree. I liked nice hotels, but I didn't really think about why or the customer experience. And I remember when I was active with the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, they used to have this great event. It was called the ICE Awards. And ICE was an acronym that stood for Incredible Customer Experience. And they did it in a big, nice theater, and they did it like the Academy Awards, and everyone dressed up, and they were finalists for the ICE Awards. The different businesses, all kinds of businesses, got nominated, and then they would have the runner-up and announce the winner, and they would get like local television personalities or local politicians or business people who would get up there and come out with the envelope on stage with the spotlights and everything. And it was a really good production. And I remember at some point someone had asked me, they said, will you be a presenter for this ICE award? Because they had, I don't know, 10 or 15 presenters, and there were always two people. It seems like it was always like a man and a woman, and maybe the television personalities of those people did more than one. But anyway, they asked me to do one, and so I was up there with somebody who was, I think she was a news anchor or something. And it was so much fun being backstage and coming out dressed up and having the microphone and announcing the winner. It was so much fun. But the interesting thing about it is I was so unaware, I couldn't figure out why they were doing it. I couldn't figure out why the chamber spent all this time and money, the Chamber of Commerce spent all this time and the money to give heating and air conditioning companies and automotive repair companies and advertising companies and hotels and restaurants or whoever they were. It really didn't dawn on me why they were even doing it. The incredible customer experience. So what, I thought. Now, even though I had this in my own life and would react to things, I was completely unaware of it. I had a blind spot to it. And for me, coming out of the district attorney's office and being a serious felony defense lawyer, I skipped that whole stage. I skipped the whole, what's the client thinking when they come in? What's the client feeling? What are the client's concerns? What's the client's story, so that we can keep their story going, so that if you know the client's story and their story was good, something terrible happened, they want to get back to good. What is good? Which you don't know if you don't ask. Where are they? Where do they want to get to? I thought that my job as their defense lawyer was to do a great job, do everything I needed to do in the case, go to court and win. And if I went to court and won, that was a success. And I thought it would bring me more business. It used to really bother me. I would get really frustrated because I would see other lawyers who, either because they didn't have the same skill level as a defense lawyer, or they didn't have the same ability to even negotiate, they didn't have the ability to go to a jury trial and scare the prosecution and the ability to win at trial. And so that led to the ability to get better deals because I would go to court. And if I went to court, usually there was a good chance I was going to win. And so I put all my value into that. And it never occurred to me that there was anything else going on. And so, and I had my clients really, if I'm honest about it, they had a terrible customer experience because a lot of people that I represented, even on whether it was a summary court charge or say a magistrate's court charge or even just say like a DUI or something serious, a large number of my clients were from out of state. And so they had been here, either they had a second home here or they traveled here on vacation. Something happened, they got arrested, And now they have to come back to court. They have to come back to court multiple times. And my mindset was, well, yeah, you got arrested. You're in criminal court. Court's in session. They call you to court. Yeah, you got to come. That's all there is to it. They would ask, well, can you get me excused? How many times am I going to have to come? What's going to happen? My response was, well, look, it's court. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to defend you as well as I can. And like all lawyers, I would say something like, well, look, I can't promise you as a result. I can't tell you what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Show up, and we'll find out. You really can't get much worse than that. And in some of these cases, and I didn't make a lot of effort to have my clients excused because my mindset was, I will not back down. If they charge you with something and I'm defending you, I will not back down. I did not want my clients to plead guilty. I wanted to fight it out to the end. And usually, as a result of that, I ended up getting a better result than a lot of other people. And it would frustrate me so much because I'd see other attorneys. I just happen to be sitting in court because I've got something going on, and I see other attorneys pleading somebody guilty and that person receiving probation, and they're so happy because they didn't go to prison. Now, I just watched them. They just got a felony conviction. They got probation. They're going to be on probation for a year or 2 or 3 years, and they're walking out of court happy, and they're happy with their lawyer. And that would frustrate me because I would think, I heard the case. There wasn't a good case. If I had been representing you, there's no way you would have gotten a felony conviction. There's no way you'd be on probation. So what's the difference? One part of it, I thought, was that because court is so scary, and to stand in court puts somebody in a state of emotional shock to stand in front of the judge. I would say it's like you're standing in front of the beast. The judge represents the beast, has the power to put you in the dungeon. And so it's terrifying. It's also a kind of an out-of-body experience, which took me a long time to figure that out. So that person had that experience, and I thought, well, that's it. Now, that may be partly true, but it's also how did the law firm treat the client? Did they talk to them a lot? Did they tell them, this is court, this is what's going to happen, don't worry, I've got this, we're going to make it better, we're going to get you through this? Because the clients want a speedy outcome, and then they want to know what's going on. If you're going into surgery and the doctor says, well, we're going to operate, some people die, most people don't, we really won't know to the end, that's going to be a terrible experience for you versus they sit down with you and explain it to you and say, when you get there, we're going to have this for you, and you're going to go in this room, and you're going to be dressed in this, and then you're going to stay there, and the nurse is going to come in, and then at that point, we're going to roll you down to the room. We're going to give you anesthesia. We're going to put a mask on you. It's going to take about an hour. At that point, we're going to put you in another recovery room. You're going to wake up. You're not going to know how you got there. And you'll be in that room for 6 hours or 2 hours or whatever it is. And then we're going to have somebody come in and talk to you and make sure that you're okay. And then we're going to put you in a wheelchair and roll you to the door, and we're going to prearrange for somebody to be there to pick you up. It's a completely different experience because people want to know what's happening and what is there to expect. So I would represent people and I would win cases, but they would have a terrible experience in getting there. And so it frustrated me because I did not know how significant that was. I didn't know what an issue that is for people, even though in my own life, I experienced it myself and would complain about things that where I didn't have a good experience. There's that saying, I think, that somebody will always remember how you made them feel, and whether you took the time to listen to them and care about them. It's also important in your law firm to anticipate what is happening. For our clients, even now, many times they've never been to court. They don't know what court is. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if they're going to stand in front of a judge. They don't know if they're going to be arraigned. They don't know if they're going to have to enter a plea. They don't know what to say. They don't know how long it's going to take. A lot of people, I discovered, thought that once they went for their first court appearance, which in our jurisdiction is not even court, it's just, there's not even a judge there. It's just this odd show-up thing that they do. A lot of people would think that they're going to go back to jail. So they're going to go to a roll call or something that we as lawyers think is just completely meaningless. It's a waste of time. We're not worried about it. We'll see you there. Don't worry about it. But the people who've never been through this, they think there's a chance they're going back to jail. Now, there is no chance they're going back to jail at that point. They're not going back to jail. But they don't know that. So if somebody doesn't tell them that, now they have anxiety, they have a problem, they have issues. So they're having a terrible experience. So even if at the end of this period, say this case lasts a year and a half, at the end of this experience, they get a dismissal, all charges dropped, they get it expunged, they have no record for it, then why would they not be happy? And I did not understand this. I really didn't have a clue about it. And all I knew was I get great results. I'm a great lawyer. I'm a great defense attorney. Prosecutors fear me. I can go in there like Superman and save your life. So screw the customer experience. I'm not a hand holder. I'm not here to baby you. So just brace up and let me do my job. So amazingly, that really doesn't work very well. And you could be a substandard criminal defense lawyer, but care about people, listen to people, try to nurture people, try to explain things to people, try to communicate with people, try to just let them know what to expect, reassure them that everything that can be done for them is going to be done for them, and they can get a worse result and still be happier. And so with me, they're not coming back, even though I got their case dismissed. I may have had a jury trial and won it, but later, a year down the road, somebody else gets arrested, or they know somebody, or somebody's asking about a lawyer. The thing I did not understand is that they had a terrible experience. What they remember about it was all the frustrations and all the ways that I didn't show that I cared about their experience. And this was something that I dealt with for a long time because I had no idea. Just like the ICE Awards, when they were doing the ICE Awards, I thought, well, this is dumb. It's fun, but dumb. Like, who cares, I thought, what kind of customer experience your plumber gives you? Who cares what kind of customer experience you have with your heating and air repair company? Just come out there and fix it. But it matters, and it matters maybe more than anything. And so I remember, and I still don't know that I've figured this out, but there was a lawyer in my town, and he was supposed to do a capital murder case. He was supposed to do a capital murder case where he's going to defend somebody who's charged with murder, and that person is facing the death penalty. So under the law, that person's entitled to two lawyers. So he asked the person that was doing the appointments, you don't have a lot of experience with this. Who do you want? So he goes, I want Greg. If I'm going to try a capital murder case, I want Greg. So I was frustrated because the guy that we're representing, he was charged with going into Burger King, putting people in the cooler, shooting somebody in the head to kill them. I can't even remember. May have shot 2 people. I can't remember. And he was charged with 1 or 2 co-defendants. And so now he's in jail, and I'm on the case. I'm supposed to be backing this guy up, but he doesn't. He won't go visit the guy in jail. He won't do anything. He's not doing anything. And so finally, I cajole him enough. I go, it's been 2 or 3 months this guy's in jail. You're one of his lawyers. You have to go to the jail and visit him. So the jail is jail. It's uncomfortable. You don't even have your own toothbrush. They give you like this thing, which is like the cheapest, worst toothbrush they make, with some maybe bar of soap, which is, you couldn't think of anything worse. You're not wearing your own clothes. You got terrible food. You're locked up in this smelly, germ-ridden jail, and sitting in there on a concrete slab with some little thin, mattress. It's awful. Okay, it's terrible. No place that any sane person would want to be. So we go in there, and we're meeting with the guy in this little lockup room, and you got a table and chairs. The walls are gray. The place is cold. Half the time it stinks. This guy's in there, and my friend goes in and goes something like, and my friend is charismatic, so he goes, "Hey, how you doing, buddy? You okay? You getting everything you need?" And I thought, well, that's about the stupidest thing in the world you could say to the guy. No, he's not okay. He's facing the death penalty. He's held without bond. He's in a jail suit that's dirty, with some mangy, like, long underwear that he owns or had bought at the commissary, wearing these rubber, flip-flop slides things with dirty socks, getting terrible food, no medical care, in this hellhole. So, how you doing, buddy? You okay? You getting by? You getting everything you need? Well, the client just lit up. He just warmed up. He started smiling, and I was astonished. I still am astonished, because I'm thinking, what just happened? What is going on? And I think, as best I can tell, and I've thought about this a good bit, is I honestly think that this other lawyer, the act of asking him, how are you doing? Are you getting by? Do you have what you need? I think it had a profound effect on the client. I think it had, because I don't think there was anybody up to that point, perhaps this guy had not had a very good life up to this point anyway, but I think perhaps there maybe no one had ever asked him how he was. No one had ever taken an interest in, are you getting by? Are you getting what you need? And I would tell this story and talk about it and laugh about it, about how stupid it was. But I think I probably just missed another lesson, because the way the guy who's sitting in jail charged with murder, facing the death penalty ultimately, who's never getting out of jail, who's going to go through this trial where after the guilty verdict, which is usually fairly likely in these cases, because the DAs, they really won't seek the death penalty against somebody unless their case is solid, more than solid. Usually they've got a lot of evidence. They've got a lot of scientific evidence. They've got witnesses, and usually they have a pretty solid confession. So that's when they seek the death penalty. It's when the case itself is something that they know they can win. They're going to win the case. So this is bleak. This guy's trapped in jail. He'll sit in jail for a few years. He'll go to trial. He'll likely get convicted of something, and then may get sentenced to death. So when the lawyer that I knew, the colleague, the person that was on the case, when he asked him, "How you doing?" I think that had a profound effect on him. And that's a little bit offline from customer experience, but it's the same thing in my mind, is taking the time, being considerate, thinking about the things that the client is going through, thinking about the client's situation, and being aware of it, and trying to improve that experience. I think a lot of companies have, Fortune 500 companies, the biggest companies in the world, have made their living doing that, taking care of the customer, taking care that the customer has a good experience. And since I've been doing that in my law firm, Complete Legal Defense Team, as we've gotten better at that, as we've gotten better at explaining things to people, what's going to happen, not just scaring the hell out of them, not telling them we don't know what's going to happen. A lawyer can't tell you what's going to happen. When we do have a very good idea of what's going to happen, and we can't tell, on your case, this is what's going to happen, but we have a really good idea that, though you're charged with this felony, that you're not going to go to jail. Even if you don't hire us, even if you have a public defender, you could probably go into court by yourself and represent yourself and be pro se and stand in front of a judge. And on these facts, you're still not going to jail. So we try to keep people informed, try to have a system to notify them what to expect, constantly communicate with them. And as a result, they have a better experience. They feel valued, and then they become what's called raving fans. And I can see it now in our reviews. This is what they're talking about. They talk about this more than they talk about the result even. And I'm all about results. I'm all about getting good results. I'm all about our track record and what we do for people. But honestly, when I look at the reviews, they talk about how they were treated, how good the experience was, how they knew what to expect. All their questions were answered, because that's what makes people comfortable. That's what makes them feel at ease. That's what brings them back. That's what causes them to refer somebody else. Because even though I was getting great results for people, they weren't going to refer somebody into my bad customer experience, because they knew the person's going to call them back and go, "This guy, I don't like this guy. I can't believe you referred me to this guy." And so that took me forever to learn that. It's very important. It's something to be aware of. Think about that. How are you treating these people? What is your customer experience? So, are you going to get an ICE award, or are you going to get complaints? The customer experience is very important, and just be aware of that. Your client experience matters. It matters for your law firm's success. So, thanks for listening. See you next time. I'm Greg McCollum here with Prosperate Law. If you want to know more, go to prosperatelaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.